Harley Quinn is not the commonplace sight on CBS. She's a former Washington Post reporter, and we're very glad to have her speak.
You know, the first day I come on television, I start out with a sore throat and a fever. And now back to you, Hughes.
Well, as long as fever is all right, as long as it doesn't make you delirious. Actually, it's been a lot of
Where's the patient?
Guys, I'm gonna tell you something. It's a fantastic story. Here, this new nurse for our baby arrives from the employment agency, and the very first thing I notice about her is her stomach. It's enormous, as if she had a pillow stuck under her kimono. No wonder, I thought, for I soon saw that she could eat more than the rest of us. She polished off the contents of a rice bin like that. Gastric dilation. That's how she explained her girth and her appetite. Ah, well, the day before yesterday, we heard groans and moans coming from nursery. We rushed in and found her squatting on the floor, holding her stomach into her two hands and moaning like a cow. Next to her, our baby lay in his cot, scared out of his wits and crying at the top of his lungs.
So, the cat was out of the bag.
Indeed it was, and it gave me completely shock of my life. You see, I completely swallowed that story about gastric dilation. Well, I didn't waste any time. I rescued our good rag and spread a blanket for her to lie on. By the time the doctor from maternity clinic arrived, the baby had already been born. But our sitting room was a pretty shambles. A pretty sin, I can tell you.
Oh, that I'm sure of.
Yes, you see.
Toshiko was dumbfounded to hear her husband discussing the horrifying happening as though it were no more than an amusing incident which they have chanced to have witnessed.
You know what? Why don't you just take me home?
He was always busy, Toshiko's husband. Even tonight, he had to dash off to an appointment, leaving her to go home alone by taxi.
Take this lady Toshiko.
But what else could a woman expect when she married an actor? An attractive one. No doubt, she had been foolish to hope that he would spend the evening with her.
Even if that baby should grow up in ignorance of the secret of his birth, he can never become a respectable citizen. Those soiled newspaper swaddling clothes will be the symbol of his entire life. But why should I keep worrying about him so much? Is it because I feel uneasy about the future of my own child? Say, 20 years from now, when our boy will have grown up into a fine, carefully educated young man, one day, by a quirk of fate, he meets that other boy, who then will also have turned 20, and say that the other boy, who has been sinned against, savagely stabs him with a knife. No, when the time comes, I shall take my son's place. "20 years from now, I shall be 43. I shall go to that young man and tell him straight about everything, about his newspaper swaddling clothes, and about how I went and wrapped him in flannel."
In the distance, Toshiko noticed the pinpricks of light which came from the blocks of tall office buildings. 20 years from now, that wretched child will be in utter misery. He will be living a desolate, hopeless, poverty-stricken existence, a lonely rat. What else could happen to a baby who had such a birth? He'll be wandering through the streets by himself, cursing his father, loathing his mother. She did not feel in the least afraid and made no effort to free herself. In a flash, the thought had struck her. Ah, so the 20 years have already gone by. The forest of the imperial palace was pitch dark and utterly silent.